Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley. Welcome back to the Big 12 Insiders. Man, you take a look at the Big 12 this past weekend. Was it a lost weekend? Initially, that's what everybody, including myself, thought. You look at those two games on on Friday, didn't go the way that the Big 12 wanted. Not only did it not go the way that Big 12 wanted, but got steamrolled in the process. But as the weekend went on, maybe it wasn't such a lost weekend after all, and maybe the Big 12 rebounded to actually make a statement. We're going to discuss all that and more today, people, so appreciate everybody being in here. Again, before we get started, remember to like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Get in that comment section. You guys have been in it the last couple days. We really do appreciate you. And always hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. Look, ladies and gentlemen, there's no question that the Big 12 missed some opportunities. There's no doubt they did. But we're going to break down this weekend in 4 different categories: bad, okay, good, spectacular. Because I think when you break it down into those 4 categories, when you get to the end of this, you'll see that I think the Big 12 actually rebounded to make a statement, and it wasn't a lost weekend. Look, emotions get the best of us, got the best of me. But that wasn't the end of the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Friday was not the end of it. So let's start with bad. First off, Baylor getting smacked around by Auburn. Georgia Tech running over Colorado. That was bad. I mean, both teams, home field, national audience, and you let both of those teams run for over 300 yards against you. You put up no resistance. Look, we can sugarcoat it all we want. Horrible performances by those teams in a big spot to where they could have made a statement, not only for themselves, but for the conference. Also bad. Look, I thought Cincinnati played better than what maybe a lot of people thought. I thought they hung in, but come on, man, 69 yards passing in a football game. Now, I can see if you had that many and you're playing somebody and you run for 400 because, hey, every time we run the football, we're getting 6 and 7 yards a pop. That is not what happened. And then for your experienced quarterback to make that play at the end when all you need is a field goal to tie, your defense had hung around, got you the ball back, and then to lay that, I thought that was bad. Again, in another spot, again, they played better than what a lot of people thought, but that's an opportunity that was missed. Let's not kid ourselves. And then K-State just stunk. Against North Dakota State, they just stunk. From the coaching, from the players, from the passion, getting pushed around physically. They got offensive line issues, play caller issues, defensive issues, physicality issues. Any kind of issue that you can think of for a football team, K-State has it. And it was on full display against a mediocre FCS school at home that you had to be saved by a late touchdown. And then even then, North Dakota gets the ball back, and they had to drop a pass on the sideline. Otherwise, they were in field goal range and may have been able to tie the score. Who knows? But that was an ugly performance. So those are the 4 bad games in the Big 12. Let's not sugarcoat it, people. Let's not try to hide from it. All of those were bad. Bad. But then you move on, and then you say, okay, well, what else happened in the conference? Maybe it wasn't so lost after all. Well, then you had your okay games. UCF over Jacksonville State. Now, I understand it was an ugly game. Jacksonville State, probably not very good, but I'm not sure that UCF is very good. They also lost their quarterback. Now, backup came in, played well. It was a monsoon, bad conditions, but give them some grace. First game, I'm gonna give them the grace. Now, UCF may turn out to stink, and I think a lot of people think they will. But after week 1, I'm going to give them a little grace and not put them in the bad category. I'm going to put that in the okay category. Houston over Stephen F. Austin, just okay. I mean, it was just okay. We thought that they would run them over. They did. They didn't do anything spectacular. They were ultra vanilla. The defense gave them nothing. Kind of is what it is. Just an okay game, which is fine. Which is fine. Arizona State over Northern Arizona. I thought that was just okay. Look, I know a lot of people thought they should blow them out, and maybe they should have. But it was just an okay game. I'm not going to put it in the bad category, but, they had some leakage. It seemed like Arizona State was kind of going through the motions. Now, look, if you're the type of team that you're wanting to be, it will give you a pass on this one, but you can't be just going through the motions. That's not going to cut it if you're the team, because some other teams in the Big 12 against inferior opponents that we'll talk about did not go through the motions. But again, okay, not bad. It was just okay. Good. It was a win. It was a win. Oklahoma State, another one. Started out fast, scored in the first two possessions, and then boom, your quarterback gets hurt because first off, I think they were on their way to really putting up some big points against UT Martin, but your quarterback gets hurt and he's going to be out. I mean, dang it. Broken foot, 6 to 8 weeks, needs surgery. I mean, yeah, you could bring him back, but what if Oklahoma State's playing well? You're not bringing a quarterback back, I don't know. It just stinks, man. It just stinks. Either way, I dropped because it could have been in the good category and probably would have been. But when your quarterback gets hurt, kind of takes the wind out of your sails a little bit. Still a solid win, but I think because they didn't score or do as much as I think they wanted to do, and I think they were on their way to doing that, I just have it in the okay category, which stinks, but that's okay. Again, solid win. Again, new regime minus the head coach, new players, coaches, solid win. But then you start going into the good category. And then this is where I think the Big 12 takes a huge turn. Is because, yes, Kansas played Wagner, but they smacked him around just like they're supposed to. A lot of kids played. Jalen Daniels looked incredible. Offense looked good. Defense looked good. It's supposed to look good. We just talked about Arizona State playing inferior opponents and not blowing them out. Kansas did that. BYU over Portland State. Lord have mercy. I mean, he scored 69 points. Now, I understand their quarterback didn't throw for a lot of yards. I totally understand that, but he didn't have to. And just think about it. Quarterback doesn't throw for a lot of yards, and they score 69 points. Now, again, inferior competition. There's no doubt about that. But aren't you supposed to blow them out? And they did. It's a good start. It's a very good start. And you can't knock it because of who they play. Because if you play, for instance, Kansas State played a mediocre FSS school, had to scrape by, needed a spectacular comeback to win. BYU blows out a team like that. If we're going to knock K-State for playing bad, you have to give BYU credit for crushing them. Great. They crushed them, but they were supposed to. You do what you're supposed to do. Look good. Okay? Look good. Texas Tech crushes Arkansas Pine Bluff. Again, not a great football team, but you score 67 points. The only bad thing is Barrett Morton got hurt. Now, it's reports, again, hyperextension. Probably not going to play this week. Maybe not in the next 2 weeks. Who knows? But that's the bad thing. The good thing is they look good. Texas Tech got a ton of talent, man. They do. And again, you go out and you crushed a team you're supposed to crush. A lot of high expectations on Texas Tech this year. They didn't disappoint. Iowa State. Now, they played an FSS school that's actually good. South Dakota, good. And Iowa State took them behind the woodshed. Smacked them around. And looked outstanding in doing so. Rocco Beck looked great. The offense looked great. The defense, it looked like a dominant performance. They came off of that win in Dublin, basically the exact opposite of what Kansas State did with their loss. Iowa State put their foot to the ground. Hey, we're not taking a week off. We're going to keep this train rolling. And they're rolling right into their game versus Iowa coming up on Saturday. So, again, good sign. A lot of people think Iowa State's the best team in the Big 12. Maybe they are. I don't know. But I know they look good on Saturday. And then West Virginia was impressive. didn't necessarily know. And again, I know it was Robert Morris. I totally understand that. But I've always said this, and I'll say this all the time. I'll continue to say it. You couldn't look bad. West Virginia could have been out there and committing a ton of turnovers, look super sloppy, run for, 185 yards, a lot of penalties. That's not necessarily what happened. They went out and they smoked them. They ran for almost 400 yards in this game. They were the physically dominant team, and West Virginia needed that. Rich Rod 2.0, they needed to get off to an impressive start, and they did. I don't think that you should get too overly impressed, again, with any of those teams in the good. But what you can say is they were supposed to dominate, and they did dominate. You didn't see anybody take a step back, which is a good thing. Now we go to spectacular, ladies and gentlemen. Utah over UCLA. Now, UCLA, they didn't look great. They probably will win 4 to 5 football games this year, but that's not Utah's fault. Utah was the physically dominant team, and maybe a lot of UCLA's problems on Saturday was because of Utah. That's what I saw. That's the football game that I watched, is that Utah created a lot of the problems for UCLA. Utah was just dominated them in all aspects. The only thing that I would say, Mr. Dampier, let's start getting down a little bit, buddy. Let's start sliding. Let's start running out of bounds, okay? You don't have to take these crazy hits. That there's no need. It's a long season. It's a long season. You don't have to do that. You got to start getting down, and I'm sure the coaches are telling them, hey, my man, look, stop it right now, because we've seen what happens to Utah, and not just Utah. It's any team. You lose your starting quarterback, it's a disaster. So no need for that. Other than that, Utah looked great. Dare I say, spectacular on a big national stage. Now, the game was late. Not sure how many people on the East Coast were awake, but it's still UCLA. It's still a Big Ten team. Now, granted, like I said, I don't think UCLA is going to be very good, but just like I mentioned before, Utah could have looked okay. They could have looked average, but they didn't. Spectacular for the Big 12. But the biggest statement, and I don't think, look, it's not that I think that North Carolina is going to be great. I don't think that North Carolina is going to be great. But TCU manhandled them. Just physically manhandled them in every aspect. And the reason why that this was the best game for the Big 12 or for week 1 is because of the eyeballs that were on the game. First off, it's huge for TCU because everybody was watching this game to see what Bill Belichick was going to do in college and how great they're going to be. Hell, Skip Bayless tweeted out after the first touchdown that they got a national title and yada, yada. You know how Skip Bayless is and his sensationalism. That lasted about 3 minutes. And TCU, took control of the football game and blew the doors off of them. Just blew the absolute doors off of them in front of a national audience. Could not have been better for the Big 12 or the TCU Horned Frogs. So, to me, that was the biggest statement of the weekend, not only for TCU, but for the conference, because everybody was watching. Everybody was watching. Now, you could say that Utah and TCU, both of those performances were equally as dominant against a Power 4 team, and I'll give you that. But the only reason that I'm picking TCU over Utah is because of the number of people that were watching. That's it. I think they were both equally dominant. I think they were both equally the superior team, both equally put their stamp and said, look here, we're a team to be reckoned with in the Big 12, which I had both of them in that top 7 of teams at the beginning that I thought 7 teams could win this thing. Not sure K-State and Baylor are going to be there, but we'll see. But both of them say, hey, look at us. Don't forget about us. But yeah, that's why I have TCU, that game being a bigger game than the Utah game. Doesn't have anything to way that they played better. It was just because of the eyeballs that were on the game. It was the only football game on a Monday night, which we're conditioned to watch Monday night football. It's usually professional football. This time it happened to be college football. TCU was on, and they put on a hell of a performance. So to cap it all off, I don't know that this was a lost weekend by the Big 12 at all. Don't hide from the disappointment. Don't hide from the 4 games that I pointed out that were bad, that were not good looks for the conference. You can't hide from it. Don't need to hide from it. But I think the last 2 games overtook those, because here's the thing. I'm never going to root for a Big 12 team to be bad. If it was possible, I would want every Big 12 team to go undefeated. I know it's not possible, clearly, but that's me. I'm a Big 12 guy. Do I want certain teams to win over others? Of course. I played at one. I'm not hiding that. But I'm always going to be honest, and I'm always going to be fair, and I'm going to call it down the line. You may not agree, but I'm always going to give you my honest assessment. And I just think that the emotions took over on Friday, because I was so disappointed, because I knew what kind of opportunities that this was for the Big 12. But I think it rebounded, people. I really do. I think that the way that Utah and TCU put on a football domination and display overtook it, because maybe Baylor and Colorado, maybe they're not going to be very good. And that's where I'm getting back to. I guess that was my original point there, was I'm never going to root for anybody not to be good. I want everybody to go undefeated. But maybe they're not going to be good. Maybe Baylor won't be good. Maybe Colorado is going to lose 7 games. I don't think that. I don't hope that. But it's week 1. We don't know. But I think that's the beauty of it. It was only week 1. So while it could have been a better weekend, no doubt, I don't think it's necessarily a lost weekend. And I actually think that the Big 12 rebounded. Kudos to Utah. Kudos to TCU for moving the standard bearer, and taking the top spot for the weekend. Everybody else in the okay to good category, you did what you were supposed to do, or you came out and absolutely dominated. Those 4 that were in the bad category, let's pick it up. You got opportunities. Let's pick it up. Let's turn this thing around. 1 week shouldn't define your season, so don't let it. So that's what I got, man. Appreciate you guys. We are off to a rocking start as far as the Big 12 Conference, man. I cannot wait for week 2 to get here. Another weekend of good football games within the Big 12. We're going to cover all that tomorrow, give you a weekend breakdown. Friday, we'll pick the game of the week out of all the good games. So appreciate you guys being in here. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, continue getting the comment section, and always hit that notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. Until next time, we will talk to you soon.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.